With so much roster turnover, it's hard to tell exactly which positions will stand out for Iowa State. Luckily, I've gone through each and every single one, and I got to say, things are looking better than I expected them to.
You are Locked On Cyclones, your daily podcast on the Iowa State Cyclones, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Hello, my name is Nick Marovets, and today we are talking about the positions at Iowa State University on the football team. All right, that's kind of where our focus is for today, and I'm going to split it up into, well, we're going to do 3 segments, but 2 real deep looks at the positions, and then our final segment's going to zoom out a little bit, look at the entire team. Why am I doing it like that? Well, for segment 1, I want to talk about the positions that I think are going to make an immediate impact, are going to win Iowa State games right off the bat. Second segment, I have some position groups that I think might just take some time. I'm not certain on where they're at right now, and I think as we go through the season, we'll get a better idea of what they're capable of. And then finally, to round out today's show, we're going to take a bit of a bird's eye view. We're going to give an overall grade to the team. And now I hear you. We did this back when the transfer portal closed. Why are we doing this again? Well, let me argue the fact that now that we're kind of through fall camp. We're not really through fall camp, but we're pretty close to through fall camp. We know a lot more about these players for Iowa State than we did, in February, in March. When we talked about Iowa State football in the middle of the winter, we might have known who was on the team, but we had a lot of question marks about what will they be able to do in the Cardinal and Gold? What will they be able to do for Iowa State in the Big 12? Now that we've seen, yes, they're competing against each other. They haven't played, Baylor or anything crazy, but we have at least a better idea as of right now. So I want to take a deeper, more recent maybe look at this team as a whole and kind of grade how the transfer portal and basically team building process went for Jimmy Rogers and co. But to get that far, first, we have to talk about the positions that I think are winning positions. I'm calling them that because I think these positions will win Iowa State games, and honestly, early on in the season. And for position number one, we have to start with number 1, quarterback, Jalen Raynor. I am beyond excited to watch Jalen Raynor play football for a few different reasons, but I really think he will be the guy that leads Iowa State to a lot of wins. A lot of things I like about his game. When you're talking about physical attributes on the field, there's a lot to be excited about. But also, the big theme, the big storyline this entire offseason has been Jalen Raynor's leadership ability and his ability to stay calm. That is the main thing that we have heard when it comes to Jalen Raynor. And so for that reason, I think he can win Iowa State games. If you're in a tight situation, 3-4 minutes left in the fourth quarter, potentially even less than that, but I think it's more likely that you find yourself, down a score or up a score with 5 minutes to go in the game. You trust Jalen Raynor to have the reins to the kingdom. I don't know, the keys to the kingdom. He's the one who's in charge, right? I trust him, and I think Iowa State will win games because of it. I am intrigued to see how he is used in this offense. We talked about, what he's capable of doing, what he did at Arkansas State. We saw it firsthand as fans when Iowa State went down to Jonesboro, and that game was closer than it probably should have been, in large part thanks to Jalen Raynor. So we know what he's capable of doing physically, but how will he be integrated into this offense? I am excited because, obviously, quarterback coach Keith Eckendorf came up from Arkansas State. There's that connection that remained intact. There's a lot to be excited about. I think he's going to be a reason Iowa State wins games this season. Next up, staying on the offensive side of the ball, the running backs. I think they're going to be capable of making a big difference in these games for 2 reasons. One, I think they've got the talent. I think when you look at Aiden Flora, his speed, his vision, because obviously the experience from the return game, that return against TCU last season, I think we've got the talent in that running back room. And I haven't even gotten to Cam Petaway, Arnold Barnes. There are dudes in that room. But number 2, I have them down as a winning position because I think they're going to be put in a position where they literally cannot fail. They will succeed no matter what because they're going to be utilized so much. Their raw numbers will look great. I don't know about averages. I don't know about, per play, per game, per drive, whatever. I don't know how that's all going to look, but I think across the course of the season, and especially early on, they will be asked to do a lot and they will answer the call. So I have them down as a winning position. I believe Iowa State will lean on them heavily early on this year. Next up, this one is a foregone conclusion. You're probably wondering why I haven't brought it up until this point. The defensive line is going to be great for Iowa State. And honestly, I probably shouldn't even say much more than that, because if you're subscribed, I have talked nonstop about this defensive line. And if you're not subscribed, what are you doing? It's completely free. Helps us prove that it is, in fact, a Cyclone State. We're closing in on Cyhawk week here. Actually, it's coming faster than it feels like it's going to be here tomorrow. Like the way this season is really, we're knocking on the door of this season. I can't believe how close this is. So we got short time to surpass Iowa in subscribers. So anyway, nonetheless, when it comes to the defensive line, you subscribed, I just think they're going to be awesome. They are so unbelievably deep. They have so much talent. The switch to a 4-man front, as an Iowa State fan, right? Not necessarily a player, because those guys are more used to this system than they are to playing at Iowa State. As a fan, I know what Iowa State looked like last season with the 3-man front. It's going to be such a switch up to the 4-man front. And that's not, a huge credit to Jesse Bobbitt changing his mind and going about things a different way. It's a credit to him just sticking with his system. But as fans, it's going to be such a big change. As anybody who's playing Iowa State, it's going to be such a big change. I think this defensive line is not only going to play very well, be put in the right positions because of this coaching staff, but as fans, it will be such a stark difference. There will be such a different approach to stopping the run game, such a bigger impact, in my at least prediction, in stopping opposing quarterbacks. Like, I think it's going to feel huge, and it will be a reason Iowa State wins games. Now, pivoting back to the offense, the offensive line, interesting that I went with the offensive line here, because up until this, literally right now, I have not been very high on the offensive line. So what's up with the change? What's up with the switch up? I don't know who's starting for offensive line, and that is still semi-concerning. However, when you look at the comments made by basically every coach, the prioritization of physicality, when you look at some of the comments made by these offensive linemen about these offensive linemen, you've got an offensive lineman and a captain in Taylor. I just think I trust them. That's really where I'm at. And so do they need to go out and change the game at offensive line? Not really. That's not really what the position is asked to do. So I trust them. And at this point, maybe I'm in the wrong camp, but I think they'll win Iowa State some games just because they're tough, they're physical, and they won't lose Iowa State games. Now, like I said, still very early to this thing, and I might just end up on the wrong side of the fence, and that's okay. But right now, I'm predicting they're going to be a positive for Iowa State this upcoming season. Last position here, I do have a question mark next to it, and I think it's a good segue into our position groups that I think might take some time, but I don't see this group taking time, so I'm going to put them in the winning category, linebackers for Iowa State. I haven't talked a ton about the linebackers just because we're kind of uncertain. I think the 4-man front is going to be a huge deal, and it's going to relieve some pressure from the linebacker group, and these guys are going to be able to capitalize. I also think that with this coaching staff and their mentality, we're going to see the linebackers look different. We're going to see linebackers maybe all over the field, looking like a nickel, a slot corner. Like, it's not going to be a super traditional linebacker role. And therefore, I think they'll just be able to play looser, play freer. I think if you get the right guys out there, they're going to be flying around and they'll be making plays. The 4-man front's going to help them a lot, drop into coverage. I just see this group being great, whether it's Schlimgen or X-Line or Jones or Breland. Like, I think these guys can do it. So for now, I think they're going to be a winning position. I don't think they're going to hold Iowa State back or take time to mature. I am anticipating they will be a group that makes a big difference early on. However, that's kind of it. I have a few groups that I want to talk about that I think they're going to take some time, and I have a few interesting reasons. So be sure to stick around for that, because I'm breaking it down coming up right here after this. But first, a word from our friends over at Kalshi. Before season even kicks off, everyone's making predictions. Who wins the division? Who makes the playoffs? Who's lifting the trophy at season's end? On Kalshi, America's #1 prediction market platform, you can trade those predictions in a live market. Will the Bills win the AFC Championship this season? The Bills is currently trading at a 16% chance to win the AFC, meaning a $100 trade would pay out to $630 right now. So I've got it at if they take home the title. On Kalshi, you're trading against peers in a live market, meaning there's no house. And as the probability changes, you can buy in and out of your position. Trade the draft pick, the game, and more on Kalshi. Download the Kalshi app and use code LOCKEDON to get $10 when you trade $10. KALSHI. Kalshi. Trade on anything. 18 plus only. Restrictions and eligibility requirements apply. Event contract trading involves risk and may not be suitable for all investors. Kalshi products are not available in all jurisdictions. Prices, values, and available markets may differ from those mentioned. For more information, see kalshi.com/regulatory. We've talked about the positions that I think are going to make a big difference for Iowa State this season in a positive way. The positions that I think are going to win Iowa State games and honestly relatively early on in the season. Now it's time to really talk about the rest of them, okay? And I'm not saying these positions are going to be bad. I'm not saying these position groups are going to struggle or they're going to hold Iowa State back. I have on here they may take time. It might just take 4 games for them to really get into their groove. And that's where I'm at with this defensive back group, because I'm just going to jump right into it. This defensive back group might take some time. I, right now, am excited about Coffee. I am excited about Ngoye. For one, it's hard to know exactly who's going to be playing what with this defense, which it's hard for me to put defensive groups even in this category because I trust Bobbitt. I trust Ross Watson. I trust this coaching staff entirely defensively. I really think they're doing great things. So I don't want to put groups in this, in this may take time category, but I don't know who's playing because it seems like they're just going to play whoever they want. And it's not like true to any position, which is awesome, but it makes me unsure of who's exactly going to be out there on the field. So at defensive back, I've got a few names that I want to see, but they're not really proven to be great yet. I've got some names that I want to see, but I'm not even entirely sure that they'll be out there. And if they are, in what capacity? I think the defensive back group can be great for Iowa State, but I just am not sure yet. And another reason I put them in here as opposed to the linebackers, as opposed to the defensive line, I wonder if, by the end of the season, defensively, we're going to be talking more so in a negative light about the pass defense. I don't know for sure, but I just feel like Iowa State's going to be so good at stopping the run, it's almost going to force the pass defense into a position where it looks worse. Not necessarily bad, like, oh, this Iowa State defense gives up so much through the air, but when you're looking at running versus passing, is it a matter of just comparison? I don't know exactly how it's going to look at the end of the year, but I am anticipating the defensive back group will be looked at in a different way. And I had to put them here. I want to put them in the winning positions group, but I feel like right now where we're at, probably not going to be a group that's going to, come away with 3 picks a game or anything crazy, which would probably be what it would take to put them in the winning positions group to feel like they would make a major difference in defending the pass, in getting takeaways, creating, takeaways. Right now I'm putting them in the may take time category, but it's pretty tentative. This next group, it's not really tentative. The wide receiver group is slightly concerning to me. And so to put them in the may take time category is honestly, I try not to be negative. All right. I've been coined as a pretty optimistic guy by this point, but the wide receiver group is concerning for me right now. There are flashes. There have been clips. There have been spring showcases that have shown me that Iowa State potentially can be a competent team at the wide receiver position. But I just don't know. I mean, who is it right now? Is it Cody Jackson? Is it Evan Boyd? Who's stepping up and being that wide receiver that is like the wide receiver 1? Or is it potentially Overby? But we're hearing it's like, he's a vertical threat, but we're really pushing him to be more of a horizontal threat as well. And that's concerning to me. The comments that were made about this group consisted of like, hey, we've got a lot of different guys and they're going to be using a lot of different ways in this offense. To me, that just sounds like we don't really have any one thing we're good at. So we're just going to try to do a lot of things and confuse defenses. And that's one thing if you're talking about a group in the way that, like, hey, we don't really have one guy that's going to be a standout wide receiver, but everyone else is really talented. So we're just going to try to spread the defense so thin that somebody's got to be open. It doesn't even sound like that. It sounds like it's like, well, we've got a lot of different pieces here. Like you would never use a hammer to screw in a screw, but hammers are really good at hammering in nails. So we're going to try to tailor the, I guess, toolbox. The analogy here isn't great, but towards hammers. It's like, well, what if the defense is good at, or I'm not even going to try to continue that analogy. I apologize for bringing it up, but you see what I'm saying? I'm just like not on board with this wide receiver room. And so I am putting them in the may take time category relatively confidently. And honestly, it's kind of optimistically. Like maybe over a few games, we'll get an idea of who's going to step up. The wide receiver room to me is so concerning that I'm actually like concerned for Jalen Raynor. I think he's going to be able to create plays. I think he's going to be potentially. That's why kind of why I have him in the winning positions. He's going to win Iowa State games because of his ability to overcome what the wide receivers are doing. I don't trust this wide receiver room right now, so they are absolutely in the may take time. And that doesn't mean they're going to be bad. That doesn't mean that I think they're going to struggle. I just haven't seen it yet. And the comments being made about them are not promising at all. Next up, I've got the safeties. Kind of goes hand in hand with the defensive backs. Kind of the same thing. I just don't know how Iowa State's passing defense is going to be viewed at the end of the season. I imagine it probably won't be in a super positive light, at least in comparison to the run game. Obviously, the injury to Alls is the biggest glaring, like, red. It's not a flag, but just like, hey, pay attention to this. It's concerning. It is. He was kind of the dude for Iowa State that they grabbed in the portal. There was a few others, but definitely like Isaac Terrell, Braden Alls, very, very exciting. Is it going to be surges? I don't know. I'm curious to see how they're going to be utilized. So for now, I'm going to say they may take some time to really come into their element and put their stamp on this defense and show what they can do. And this last position I have is kind of in the same category, and in some ways, I have the tight ends in a may take time category because right now they're just like, we're not really sure who they are. They're going to be physical. They're probably going to be more used in a blocking sense, if I had to guess. But with the wide receivers being so uncertain, maybe they're really being used in the pass game as well. I just don't know enough of what's to come for these tight ends. I think we have talent at the tight end position. I don't think it's like anything that's jumping off the page like last season with Bramer and Burkle. Those guys were kind of counted on. I think these guys will step up for Iowa State, whether it's Fortenberry or maybe Bjorn. I don't know who for sure it's going to be. Could it be Roscop? Like we don't know for sure. And that's why I'm like, I think after a few games, we'll see what's expected of these guys and who struggles, who steps up. Tight end is not right now in the role that would win games for Iowa State for me. That doesn't mean they can't do it. It just means that I don't see that. It's going to take some time to, one, get an idea of who they're going to be, but two, to really come into their role, I think, in this offense. I could be wrong. I could be very, very wrong. But that's where I see them right now. Now, we have to, now that we've kind of looked at every position, talk about the team as a whole. Where is Iowa State at now that we've kind of worked through some fall camp? We're not just looking at tape from last season. How confident am I in this squad? We'll talk about that coming up right here after this. But first, a word from our friends over at Odoo. Running a business shouldn't feel like you're trying to connect a bunch of systems that were never designed to work together. One app for accounting, another for inventory, another for sales, and somehow none of them talk to each other. That's where Odoo comes in. Odoo is an all-in-one business management software that brings every part of your business together in one powerful platform, from sales and accounting to inventory and marketing. Everything works in one place. Odoo is one platform to manage, grow, and scale your business. The best organizations know that success isn't just about talent. It's about having everyone working toward the same goal. And that's true in sports, just like it is in business. This is a very, very prominent topic for Iowa State. This roster construction, you can't just bring in all of the best guys around the country. You need to bring in the right kind of guys to set the culture, to work towards the same goal, and to build what Iowa State will be over the next few years. Jimmy Rogers was tasked with a tall task, and I feel like he's absolutely crushed it. Great organizations win because operations matter, and that's why you should get Odoo. Try for free today at odoo.com/lockedon. That's odoo.com/lockedon. So we've talked about the positions I think are going to win Iowa State games this season and make a big impact early on. And now we're talking, then in the second segment, we talked about guys and positions I think maybe we'll learn a little bit more throughout the season. Now we got to zoom out. Now we got to take a look at the entire team. And I appreciate you sticking around, watching, listening. Could not do this without you. Make sure you hit subscribe if you haven't. It's completely free. Helps us prove that it is, in fact, a Cyclone State. Right now, overall picture, feel very good about Iowa State. I may say some things in this segment that indicate otherwise, but I only say those things because I have to keep my head out of the clouds. If you let me go, I will say Iowa State's winning 12 games this season. It's not healthy. It's not good for me. So I got to keep myself in check here. And so I may say some things that are like, I'm not sure about this. I don't know if I like this. Case in point, the wide receivers, right? We'll come back to that. But overall, I feel very good about Iowa State and where they're at. And I will say this. When you look at Iowa State, you look at the Big 12, you look at their schedule, being picked dead last, I don't see it. I feel like Iowa State got lucky in the opponents in the Big 12 that they get to play. Yes, there are hard games, but it's the Big 12. There's not going to be one schedule that literally only hits the easy teams. So I think Iowa State got relatively lucky with their schedule, only playing, I would say, BYU. Arizona's probably a tougher game. I guess Utah will be a tougher game. And maybe you could throw in like Oklahoma State, but I'm not that, high on Kansas State. I don't think they're going to be that good. I don't expect UCF, Baylor, Cincinnati to be world beaters. I think they're going to be decent. They're going to be okay, but I think Iowa State's just as good as they are. And then when you look at everything that's come out during fall camp, the question marks I had after the transfer portal before fall camp, who's going to play at offensive line? Well, it seems like Iowa State's kind of answered that question. Who is Iowa State going to play, in the back end of the defense? Well, the linebacker position is, I think, looking better. And when you listen to these coaches speak, I'm almost in the point where it doesn't really matter. Now, maybe I am falling into the trap of just being convinced and really being, I would almost say, persuaded like in the wrong direction here. There is a chance that Iowa State won't be as good as I think they're going to be. And I'm basing it too much on coach speak. But the way these offensive coaches are talking about physicality, it doesn't really matter, about who's doing what as much as everyone on the right page doing the same thing, working towards the same goal. Physicality this, physicality that. I just feel like the offensive line doesn't really matter who's playing. The running backs, we got talent. I think we've got a really good quarterback. So to essentially look at the transfer portal, the roster construction top to bottom, I feel good. I would give this roster probably like a 7 out of 10. I think they will outperform many expectations this season. I think they'll be in close games with some of the best teams in the conference. I think they will be in a position to win games against great teams. Now, are they going to win every one of those games? Probably not. Are they going to be in a position where they're fighting for a Big 12 title, like a chance to play in that game? To be realistic, probably not. But I don't think that they're a bad team. And when you look at what this roster went through, I think they exceeded expectations. Absolutely. I think some of the groups that we talked about in winning positions today, they swayed me throughout fall camp. Offensive line is the best example because, yes, there were guys that I was excited about absolutely coming from the SEC, right? I think those are still great wins, but I wasn't sure of what they're going to do. Right now, it really comes down to the coaching, but I can't get it out of my head that they're going to be good. And you know as well as I do that the quarterback position was concerning after the spring showcase for me, because it was largely going to be, it was absolutely looking like it was going to be Jalen Raynor early on. There was no question mark really at any point during the quarterback controversy, quote unquote. And I went to the spring showcase and I said, I just don't feel like Jalen Raynor's got the same zip on the ball. I don't know what's going on behind closed doors, but right now I feel like I would maybe you want to see a different guy out there. It was early. Okay. Give me some slack here. But early on, I said, hey, maybe it's somebody else. Seeing videos between then, now, fall camp, where the ball is getting placed, the kind of leader that Jalen Raynor is and has been talked about, I feel a lot better about the quarterback position. I maybe felt like pretty okay about it. Now I feel very confident. I think he's got the physical attributes, and I believe that he also has the leadership qualities. The mental side of the game is there for him, and I think Iowa State's going to be competent on offense. I still feel like this team's going to be great defensively. This defensive line, I can't get it out of my head that they're going to be awesome. And if the defensive line is as good as I think it's going to be, and the linebackers can hold their own, and the secondary effectively just doesn't give up a ton of touchdowns, the offense just has to stay in the game. They just have to play smart, not hand the ball to the defense, to the opposing team. And I think with Jalen Raynor at quarterback, they can do that. I think with Aiden Flora in the backfield, they can stay on time. With Cam Petaway able to stay, between the tackles and be that hard-nosed, contact seeking running back, they can really move the ball up the field and they can just milk the clock. That's a recipe for success, in my opinion. So overall, yes, there are absolutely areas of concern. I am not excited about the wide receiver room. They could prove me wrong, but right now, the words that are coming out about the wide receiver room, there will be flashes this year, but I don't know if consistently wide receiver will be able to really wow me, right? Or even make a huge difference. I don't know for sure yet. So that's concerning. The secondary is definitely an area where I feel like Iowa State is lacking right now. And I could be wrong about that, but just as of right now, I don't feel great about it. I'm curious about the tight end group more than anything else. So it's not all sunshines and rainbows. And I'm not saying that Iowa State's going to win 10 games, but I do feel very good about where Iowa State is at. And I feel like this team will be competitive at a Big 12 level. That was the biggest question I feel like after the transfer portal is, Iowa State was able to field a roster, good for them, but where did these guys come from? Are they going to be able to play against, Texas Tech? Well, Iowa State doesn't play Texas Tech, so that's good. Against BYU? Well, I think they can. Are they going to win the game? Maybe not. But if you can play against BYU, you're going to probably win a lot of other games in conference. And I am confident that Iowa State will have a successful first year. Jimmy Rogers did a very good job of compiling this roster, and I truly believe that they will be at least a troublemaker. They will at least be in games that they shouldn't be in. They will potentially win games that will completely shake up the standings in the Big 12, kind of like Kansas did a few years ago. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. If I am, and you think so, let me know in the comments below or on Twitter at Nick_Marv. We are so close to the season being here, and I could not be more excited. That being said, that's all I've got for today. Until next time, Cyclone fans, sayonara.